Is there new reason for optimism tonight? Well, three top administration officials are saying that recent saber rattling in the Middle East is all about deterrence, certainly not about provoking war with Iran. Well, we've got a lot of other topics: possible impeachment, debt ceiling negotiations, a trade war with China, and the uncertain status of the USMCA trade deal. So let's dig a little deeper with Senate Majority Whip John Thune of South Dakota. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Thanks, Shannon. Nice to be with you.
Okay, so you were part of this briefing today. What did you take from it?
Well, first off, I mean, we had the kind of the administration team there explaining why they reacted the way that they did, and they had good reason. They're a credible threat, specific threat, and I thought that they did a good job of laying out why we are doing what we are doing, why we've taken the actions we've taken, and I think we have to be prepared. This is an area of the world, of course, as we know, that's very volatile, but also very dangerous, and we have to protect American troops and American interests in that area. Okay, so Democratic Senator Chris Murphy, first of all, before the briefing, tweeted this yesterday: "I'm listening to Republicans twist the Iran intel to make it sound like Iran is taking unprovoked offensive measures against the U.S. and our allies, like it just came out of nowhere. I've read the intel, too, and let me be clear, that is not what the intel says." Today, after the briefing, very similar comments by him that he says, listen, the strategy is not working. Well, I don't know what those guys are seeing, but there are a lot of people who are sort of in the blame America crowd when it comes to these issues. It's always America's fault. We all know what Iran does. They are the world's largest state sponsor of terror, and obviously are always exercising malign influence in that region of the world. And these were credible, specific threats that our intelligence community and our national security team responded to.
Why do you think they do that? Why do you think they come out of the same briefing and have such a different reaction?
I think they have a very different view of the world, and I think in a lot of ways the Democrats, particularly in the Senate and those who were there at the time, are very wedded to the Iranian nuclear deal, and I think they actually feel like somehow we can make peace and everything will be all hunky-dory with Iran, and that's not the case. And I think what Iran needs to know, they understand one thing, and that's force, and what our military is projecting there is a deterrent so that Iran won't undertake any bad behavior. But I think that obviously there are different people, and part of it too, honestly, is Trump derangement syndrome. A lot of people just don't like the president and anything that he does. And I think that his team in this case is reacting in a way that protects American troops, American interests. And Iran needs to understand that if they harm or injure one American soldier, they're going to pay a price.
Okay, I have a couple topics I definitely want to get to, not a ton of time, but let's start with this idea of negotiating over the debt ceiling budgets, where we go from here. The top Democrat in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, saying essentially the last government shutdown was bad for the Republicans, it was bad for the White House, and that's why you guys are so serious this time around to get something done, because it doesn't benefit you if that happens.
Well, the shutdown previous to that got blamed on Chuck Schumer. It was called the Schumer shutdown, if you recall. I don't think anybody wins in a shutdown, and it's in everybody's interest to get a deal. In talking to the Democrat leaders, I think they sincerely would like to strike a deal on the budget. And honestly, from our standpoint, if we don't get a deal, if we have to go back to the sequester, to the caps that were in place before, it's a $71 billion cut in defense. And most Republicans believe, especially right now, that we need to be taking care of America's vital national security interests. So it's in our interest to get a deal. I think it's in the Democrats' interest to get a deal. And honestly, right now, it's not like the Democrats are irrelevant. They control the House. Obviously, anything that we pass is going to have to go through there. And so I hope that we can find some common ground, at least on this, and have a normal budget process this year.
Well, now, something that Senator Schumer does have in common with the president and with the White House is he wants them to be tough on China. Where do we stand now? I mean, you've got a strong ag community in your home state. There are a lot of people worried about these tariffs. I mean, steel and aluminum lifted on Mexico and Canada. As we're ramping them up on China, where do we go from here?
Well, that was a big development that they lifted the tariffs on steel and aluminum with respect to Canada and Mexico. It will clear the way for passage, at least in the Senate and hopefully in the House, of the USMCA, which is really important for farm country too. But China's our big market. I mean, in South Dakota, about 2/3 of our soybeans go to the Chinese market. The ag economy is in the tank right now. And but I also know that our farmers believe that this president, for the first time in a very, very long time, is taking seriously and confronting all the trade abuses and illegal trade behavior that we've had to deal with, from the Chinese going back decades. So I think they support the objectives. They're hoping that they'll be able to get to a deal quickly. I think the president and his team believe they have maximum leverage right now to get a deal, and I hope that they're right.
Well, it sounds like the Chinese are willing to continue talks, so we'll see. Right. Senator, thank you for coming in. Great to have you.
Good to be with you. Thanks, Shannon.